Tyrion needs a new hobby. It's a little early for wine, and the North remembers. Tonight we're discussing Game of Thrones 503 High Sparrow on What's on the Box! Hi, I'm James.
And I'm James.
And this is What's on the Box, where we discuss the latest episode of your favorite TV show.
This week we're going to be talking about the third episode in this season of Game of Thrones. It's a lot of plot, but man, did I really enjoy this one.
Yeah, you had a good time?
They crammed so much into this hour.
We start with Arya and Braavos in the House of Black and White.
We don't get too many scenes with Arya, and they all kind of get to the same point, which is that in order to achieve her goal of becoming a faceless man, she needs to shed her identity as Arya Stark. And it's something that we see her really struggle with. And it's something that I think extends out to a lot of the other characters that we see in this episode. This idea of letting go of your true self to achieve short-term goals.
Especially when it's something as meaningful to you as, for instance, Needle, which Jon gave to her way back in season 1.
It's her most concrete connection to her family, and it's something that she can't bring herself to toss into the sea. She's not willing to let that part of herself go. And as much as she's committed to putting in the sweeping and whatever other task is given to her,
Washing dead guys.
part of her is never going to not be Arya Stark. She's never going to truly be no one. Like Arya, Jon is struggling with trying to let the Stark part of himself go in his new role as Lord Commander.
Yeah, that Stark gene of cutting off people's heads is just way too strong in him. Can't say no.
We've seen 3 Stark men decapitate people, and Theon tried.
True to his form as not quite a Stark, Theon couldn't quite cut off a head. What a powerful scene with Janos Slynt. And I don't know if everyone remembers, but Janos is a huge reason why Ned got decapitated in the first place.
That's true, his betrayal as head of the City Watch. And it's in part what led him to the Wall. Tyrion didn't let that go. He knew that Janos was somebody who could not be trusted.
Jon was smart enough to win over Sir Alistair before he did that by making him First Ranger. And I'm really excited to see this mutual respect between the two of them. They've always been on rough terms, but
there wasn't this type of misplaced sense of entitlement with Sir Alistair.
Yeah.
Jon had to earn Sir Alistair's respect. When Jon came to the Wall, he had a kind of sense of entitlement, being Benjen Stark's nephew and the bastard of Winterfell. He got the Lord Snow nickname. These are all things that he's had to overcome to become Lord Commander. But at the same time, his honor and his stubbornness could get him in trouble.
Yeah, Stannis compares him to Ned and doesn't mean it as a compliment.
As much as Jon is trying to forge his own identity as Lord Commander, he's still Ned Stark's son.
I just want to say that I hate Ollie. I think Ollie's stupid.
Ollie's stupid.
He had the head nod last season, which nobody thought was cool. Everyone just laughed at it and made fun of it. And now he's sticking around as a seemingly important character. He's getting close-ups and reaction shots, and he's just this shitty little kid.
You have to assume that it's leading to something, which is concerning given that it's basically a kid who's had one line and moves his head. That's the extent of his role in the show. Sam had another good moment when Slynt's like, "Fuck you, Jon," and everybody's like, "Ooh." Then Sam is like,
Right, all right. Enough of that.
He's building off of that confidence that he showed last week.
Maybe next episode, Gilly gon' get it.
Kind of fitting into that theme, too, of characters kind of trying to shed their defining characteristics. Sam defined himself early on as a coward, and now that part of him is going away. Final thoughts on the Wall?
I started to feel bad for Slynt at the end.
Oh, I didn't.
No?
No.
All right, yeah, fuck that guy. So yeah, Jon's getting advice from Stannis, but unbeknownst to Stannis, now he has Brienne coming at him with a vengeance.
That's kind of true to this same idea of characters putting aside what has been their defining characteristic. Brienne, who we've known since we met her as an Oathkeeper, reveals that while she still cares about her commitment to protecting Sansa, her primary motivation at this point is now revenge against Stannis for the murder of Renly, which is a different Brienne than we've seen. Moving south, we get an excellent scene with Littlefinger and Sansa at Moat Cailin.
I don't know what Littlefinger's up to here, man.
All of it is a mystery. We have no idea Littlefinger's true motivations. We have no idea how Ramsay is going to respond to Sansa. You assume it's not good, but it could go the complete opposite direction, which I think would be more interesting for the show.
What do you mean?
Pretty much from day one, we've seen Sansa being tortured and belittled by every adult that she encounters.
I don't want to see that anymore.
Exactly. How can they get lower than where she's already been? I think that there's a potential we could see Ramsay respond to this marriage in a very out of character way and treat it very seriously and treat Sansa in his mind very well.
In his fucked up little mind.
Exactly. That's not to say that he's not going to be Ramsay Bolton. That just means that he's not going to be Ramsay Bolton to Sansa.
All I know is that one chick who was hunting with him was looking at Sansa with a mean old stink eye.
If we look at this idea of characters shedding their defining trait to become something new,
Definitely the case with Sansa here.
what I hope is that we'll see a stronger, more active Sansa who really stands up for herself.
I really like that moment she had with Roose when she arrived in Winterfell, where you're not sure how she's gonna greet him, and then she puts on the act.
Lord Bolton.
She's been through this before, but I think that now she's learned so much, and you have to assume that she's learned a trick or two from Littlefinger. Sansa is shown her quarters in Winterfell that is no longer the home that she grew up in, but an old handmaiden acknowledges her presence as Lady Stark with
The North remembers.
North remembers.
the North remembers.
Chills down my body.
Yeah, obviously I'm Team Stark. The fact that we could get some sort of revenge plot from the Northern Lords. This is the second time this season so far that we've had hints at Northern loyalty to Starks. The first being Lyanna Mormont and her note to Stannis,
Bear Island knows no king but the king in the north, whose name is Stark.
and now the North remembers. There's something going on that we don't know the full extent of, and I'm so pumped.
Yeah. Oh, and also Theon is there.
Theon is there.
Yep.
That's gonna play a role. Like, he knows Sansa. That's gonna trigger something in him to kind of hopefully snap him out of his reekness.
He is so reek right now.
He's super reek.
He's just like a starved dog. Props to Alfie Allen. It's so depressing to watch. Even though, like, fuck Theon,
Yeah,
but still,
he's another character who's not quite himself,
yeah, he's reek.
to say the least.
You know who else really wasn't herself this episode? Is Cersei. Because, damn, she seemed so declawed in that conversation with Margaery. Like, that wasn't a verbal sparring. That was a verbal beatdown by Margaery.
Yes, she had all the power in that conversation, and every single line of hers was a barb.
Most of them were barbs, but that wine line, that was like a grenade.
I wish we had some wine for you. It's a bit early in the day for us.
She came out and just sucker punched with that,
Alcoholism!
and that was like the greeting. Every single line. Is it Queen Mother or Dowager Queen? Oh, you're old and a drunk and useless.
And I've been fucking your little
and
kid all night.
Yeah, your 16-year-old kid.
What a weird thing for that actor. It was kind of weird to watch.
Yeah, because that kid looks young.
Yeah, but Natalie Dormer is in her 30s?
33.
Yeah.
I read an article, I don't just know that.
President of the Dormer fan club. It's called the Dormer Party.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
I was very surprised at how much Cersei took a beating in that conversation.
She let it happen.
You think so?
I do. I think that it was the smart thing to let it happen. She sacrificed that battle in an effort to win the war. We'll see how it works out for her.
Okay. Margaery seems to be doing well, though.
Marjorie's very popular with the small folk. They were chanting her name.
I wonder if they ever chanted Cersei's name like that.
I don't think Cersei has ever been a popular person.
Tommen needs to work on his political manipulation, though.
Do you ever miss Cassidy Rock?
He's not very subtle.
Marjorie chose the right time to kind of like start sinking her claws into Tommen.
Post-coital bliss.
Yeah. What are you not thinking?
So while she's dealing with Margaery on the one hand, on the other, she's got all this religious shit going on. Got the High Sparrow and the High Septon. Pervy little High Septon.
Yeah, that was, I mean,
That was just an excuse for tits.
yeah.
I guess it was kind of important to show his hypocrisy, but
But it didn't have to go on as long as it did. We do see this crackdown by the faith, and that's gotta spell doom for a lot of our more amoral characters at King's Landing.
good thing Tyrion got out of there. Right now, it seems like Cersei is making gains to be allied with them.
I think that when she goes to treat with the High Sparrow, that's a really excellent scene. And Jonathan Pryce, right out of the gate in his first scene, hits it out of the park. That character is so fully realized, and you get him. You get who he is and what type of person he is and his beliefs immediately, from the way that he dismisses his title to him dealing out the soup.
He seems like a really nice guy. I would hang out with him. I would let him wash my feet. Maybe I'd even wash his in return.
Is that a Jesus reference?
He's kind of Jesus-esque. I mean, he says that people have chosen him as a leader even though he doesn't want that. Another messianic character, apparently, is Daenerys, according to the Red Priest in Volantis, who Tyrion sees, preaching away.
Tyrion is kind of the most literal example of this shedding of personality, because he has to literally pretend to be somebody else in order to walk the streets of Volantis.
Just another drunk dwarf.
He does his best to kind of play this role, and at a certain point, can't. One of his defining traits from his first scene in the pilot was his whoring and his drinking. And when he can't go with the prostitute in Volantis, that's part of Tyrion that no longer exists because of what he's done.
No matter how much he can pretend to be another person, he can't forget that huge part of his past.
He's recognized by Jorah, who captures him and says he's going to take him to the queen.
It's so obvious he means Daenerys, not
Well,
Cersei.
obviously.
It's not a cliffhanger. I think it's so stupid that they try to make that a cliffhanger.
Well, they try. But what does this mean for Varys?
No! Is this the end of Varys and Tyrion?
It might be. Final thoughts? I mean, we were a little bit all over the place, but there was a lot going on in this episode, and we had that kind of this loose theme of shifting characterization, but there's definitely a lot more to talk about. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. There's so much in this hour that we can talk about that I'm sure we missed.
Well, I guess that's about it for our discussion of episode 503.
Hi, Sparrow.
Next week, the episode is called The Sons of the Harpy, so I guess we'll be back in Marine.
Marine, Dorne, we'll probably get some Jaime and Bronn.
Hopefully. Till then, I'm James.
And I'm James.
And this has been What's on the Box?
All men must subscribe, and all can subscribe in glory.
You must choose other channels and unboxing videos, or my channel and great videos. This.
Give us the subscription, and we'll deliver great videos.
What would you say if I told you we had great videos on this very channel?
Well, I guess I'd subscribe.
Ow.